What about behavior? Well, if we're interested in sex differences, you can't actually figure out what people want, male-female differences, by looking simply at the average number of times people have sex. Because if male and females have different priorities, then heterosexual sex is a compromise between two groups of people with competing interests. What's a more clear reflection then is gay sex between two women or between two men, because then you get a pure reflection of sexual desire. Now the data here tend to be very messy. Again, there's survey studies, but by and large, every study done tends to find a difference in the expected direction, which is that females lesbians tend to be much more monogamous than gay men. Some studies prior to AIDS, this is many years ago, found gay men to be extremely promiscuous, often having over 100 or over 1,000 partners. You wouldn't find this sort of promiscuity in females. And the way to think about this is, what these gay men are doing is exactly what your average heterosexual man would do if he had that degree of willing females who were as willing as he was. And this all suggests that there's some sort of difference along lines expected in sexual choosiness in humans. What about sexual attractiveness? What about mate preference? What do we find attractive? Well, unlike the choosiness studies, here we actually have some pretty good cross-cultural data. So one study, for instance, was done in 10,000 people from 37 countries, asking people who you want to be with. And there's different studies, some of them asking, who do you want to marry? Other studies, who do you want as a mate? Who do you want as a sexual partner? And one main finding is kind of reassuring. Everybody likes kindness and intelligence, or at least everybody says they like kindness and intelligence. These are valued pretty highly. But at the same time, there are sex differences. Females focus more on power and status and more on interest in investing in children. And think about that from an evolutionary point of view, it makes sense. It doesn't matter hugely from the standpoint of reproduction how old the man is. The difference between 15 and 25 and 35 and 45 may matter a lot for his status in the community, his physical strength, his lifespan, but from the standpoint of his sperm, it doesn't matter hugely. Later on, there's a drop-off, and it does begin to matter, but it doesn't matter hugely. What does matter is his interest in being a good father, in protecting you from predation, from murder, from assault by other people, and in taking care of the kid. Women's brains are wired up to find males with those properties. Similarly, males focus a little bit differently. They're more interested in all of these things, but also in the ability to have children. So from an evolutionary point of view, there's actually a very big difference between a 20-year-old and a 50-year-old from a male standpoint looking at a female, because the one can have offspring and the other cannot.